Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Man, it doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought me some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow.
Hey guys, Sam here, and this is another Christmas-centered review. This time, it will be a bit different. Today, I'm going to be talking about a comic book adventure that is based on these characters. Yep, I'm talking about the Equestria Girls Holiday Special comic book. It was released in December of 2014, just after the release of the first two Equestria Girls specials. Ted Anderson worked on the story, Tony Flex did the artwork, Heather Brickell handled the coloring, Bobby Curnow did the editing, and Neil Uwatake did the lettering. Hopefully I said their names right. According to Equestriapedia.org, the reaction to this comic has left some fans kinda split. Some liked it because it was a very colorful and fun story, while others thought it was quite polarizing due to the main theme of the story, cyberbullying. Oh yeah, it's one of those dramatic stories. So, what exactly happens in it? Why are people so split on it? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, if you are new to the channel, this is how it will go down. I will give you a summary first, then my final thoughts after. Sometimes I've done fun facts sections and joke barrages, but not this time. It'll simply just be a summary and my thoughts on the comic itself. Good. Let's begin. The holidays are coming to Candlelight High, and everyone is excited for them. But the holidays remind Sunset Shimmer that she's been away from home for so long, and because of her past behavior at CHS and Equestria, she's basically been alone for the holidays too. She confides this information to Applejack, who feels very sorry for her. So, she and the rest of Sunset's friends come up with an idea. They decide they'll cheer Sunset up by setting up a series of slumber parties. The first one takes place at Pinky's house, and everything goes pretty well. All the girls have a good time, they laugh, they talk gossip, paint each other's nails, play video games, tell stories, and by the end of it, Sunset writes to Princess Twilight back in Equestria about how she feels more happy and closer to her friends. But everything changes the very next day when the girls discover that a new social media account called Anonymous posted an embarrassing story about Applejack online. You see, during the slumber party, AJ got a call from her sister Applebloom, and the call ended with her calling AJ Piggly Wiggly. AJ later told the story as to why that stuck as a family nickname. Now the story is known by everyone in school, and AJ starts getting teased about it. The girls wonder who this anonymous person is, but because they have classes to finish, they'll have to figure it out another time. Later, they have another slumber party at Rarity's house, and like the last one, things seem to go pretty well. Hanging out, having a good time, the usual, blah 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 blah. At one point, the girls find a bunch of outfits that Rarity made in her closet. She deems them as some of her worst work, and either locks them away or donates them to the Goodwill. But the other girls like them so much that they decide to wear them for fun, and Sunset takes many goofy photos of the girls wearing them. Everyone later goes off to sleep. Sunset tells Twilight about how much the girls mean to her, and then she drifts off to sleep. Then comes the very next day. When Sunset meets up with the girls, they do not look happy to see her. Sunset's confused by this until Applejack shows her what Anonymous just posted. It's the photos Sunset took of them when they were wearing the silly outfits. She pleads to them that it wasn't her, and she has no idea how they got posted online. But the girls have a hard time believing it, and they can't pinpoint any other suspects. After all, Sunset was at both slumber parties, she was in the room when AJ told that Piggly Wiggly story, and she was the one who took those pictures. So yeah, this doesn't look good for her. The girls eventually split up from Sunset, leaving her alone and devastated, and it only gets worse from there. As the days go on, Anonymous starts posting newer stuff that gets the other girls embarrassed, like Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy. The teasing keeps going, and it's just getting worse and worse. Meanwhile, Sunset confronts Trixie about this and accuses her of being anonymous. But Trixie says it wasn't her, and assumed that it was Sunset. And as if things couldn't get any worse, they do. Now Anonymous is posting about everyone. More embarrassing photos, more secrets, and there is constant arguing in Discord happening at CHS every day. In the middle of all this, Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash start wondering if Sunset is really anonymous or not. They don't want to believe it, but they do wonder who else could have gotten their private information. As for Sunset, she now sleeps in the library and is talking to Princess Twilight about what's going on. By the end of it, Twilight doesn't have all the answers. but she does offer these kind words to Sunset. Sometimes all you could do is stay strong, remember who you are, and find your family. Taking her words to heart, Sunset finds her friends at the cafe and shows them what Twilight said. This does help the girls see that Sunset could not have done this, but this doesn't tell them who actually did it. After thinking for a bit, Sunset starts to piece it together. Before the story about Applejack was spread around, it was only known by her friends and by her family. Before the photos of rarities were leaked, the only people to know about them were the girls and her family. And as for the stuff that embarrassed Rainbow Dash, she's on the varsity soccer team, while Scootaloo is on the junior team. The culprits have been figured out. But before Sunset can say it, the culprits come to them and admit it right to their faces. It was the CMC, Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo. But why? Well, Apple Bloom felt jealous of Sunset and also felt that AJ was spending more time with her friends rather than her family. So, to make Sunset look bad, she made the account and posted the embarrassing Piggly Wiggly story. Sweetie Belle joined in because she felt the same way with Rarity. So, while the girls were asleep, she snuck in and downloaded the party photos Sunset took from her phone. That's when things started to get out of control. Everyone was sending anonymous everything, and they posted everything. They didn't want it to get like this, but it did. They apologized for what they did, and even though it was a messy situation, the girls still find it in their hearts to forgive them. In the end, the CMC admit their wrongdoings to Princess Celestia, take down the account, apologize to all the students they hurt, and get 6 months of detention for it. While they can't take back what they did, they still did stop their mistake, did the best they could to fix it, and this moment did bring their families closer together. And the comic ends with everyone having a lovely holiday party at Sweet Apple Acres. The end. So that's the comic. What are my thoughts? Well, I can understand why some can be divisive about this story. Cyberbullying is a tough subject to tackle, and it can either be done well or poorly. In my opinion, I think this comic managed to handle it just fine. Obviously, being something from Equestria Girls, they're not going to go super dark and heavy with it. And it's also obvious that they can't show posts that have swear words or lewd images. That would conflict with the setting's tone. But I think they managed to do it quite effectively. They still show the harsh effects of cyberbullying and how easy it is for it to spread and get out of control. That's the thing I like about this comic. It's more slice of life. I do like the animated magical adventures, but even I will admit that the magic element can get a little repetitive after a while. In this one, it takes a real-life subject that many people can understand, middle and high school kids especially. There are some that get lucky and not have this affect them, while others don't have that same luck. I'm actually glad that Equestria Girls can do stories like this without relying on magic as a crutch. But that's not the only thing I like about this comic. The art style is really good, the colors are lovely, the dialogue was handled well, and some of the panels are really well drawn. I think this panel of Sunset crying, this panel of all the girls going through their difficult times, and this panel that uses the colors blue and white so well are my absolute favorites. It can also be funny too. I will admit the Applejack and the Pig story is cute and a little bit funny. There are some good lines here and there too. But I think the funniest part involves Fluttershy playing a racing game. At first, she's not keen on it, but after Dash tells her that she can be a fuzzy bunny riding a monster truck, she goes into full gamer mode. She plays on it for so long that Dash later goes, "Okay, I think you need to lie down for a bit." Just look at Fluttershy's face. She was so into it. I'm sorry, but it just cracks me up. I also do like the morals. There is the obvious don't be a cyberbully one, but there's also the idea that family isn't just flesh and blood. It's about the ones you love and care about. No matter how big it can get, there's always room for more. I think that's a fantastic thing to teach, and that's probably the best thing to come out of this comic. So what about the flaws? Are there any? Well, yes, there are some. I can understand why some thought the girls forgiving the CMC was too quick, and yeah, it was a little hasty. Maybe the artist ran out of pages or something, but it was a bit rushed. Some also didn't like how Sunset's friends thought she was anonymous too quickly. Well, yes, we obviously know it's not her, and I do agree that it was a little too quick, but think about this. The profile has Sunset's colors on it. She was there to listen to AJ's story, and she was the one that took the party photos. When you really think about it, it doesn't look good for Sunset. Like I said, it's obviously not her, but you can understand why the girls came to that conclusion. And later, we do see Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash debate this. They don't want to believe it's her, but who else could it have been? They wouldn't immediately think another person in their family might have done it. It could have been a hacker or something. While I personally wouldn't jump to that conclusion too quickly, I could still understand why they would, and have a hard time trying to grasp it. While I don't think it's a huge issue, I can understand why some would see it as an issue. But there is one thing I don't agree with the fans about. Some thought that the CMC got off scot-free with no consequences whatsoever. Bullshit. They did get consequences. They got 6 freaking months of detention, for crying out loud. Hell, I only got 1 detention in high school, and that was just based on a misunderstanding. If I didn't like having just 1, I couldn't imagine myself being able to handle 6 months of it. The CMC did screw up. They knew they screwed up, and they tried to make amends. They are also younger, didn't know any better, and I can also understand why they did it. They wanted to spend more time with their siblings. They just went about it horribly. In the end, if I am still able to understand why they did it and can relate to it in some degree, then I can accept it. If it is something that's totally out of left field, like trying to torture someone just because they didn't give you attention on a certain day, then no, that's stupid. Bottom line, while I do think some parts were rushed, it didn't destroy the story for me. It still worked fine in my eyes, and I still liked reading it. It has some good artwork, good lessons, good lines, decent humor, and it is refreshing to have an Equestria Girls story that doesn't involve magic. True, we do get some lore about the Wendigos, but that's just only for a moment, and the comic makes it clear that magic had nothing to do with what happened. I also know that some people thought that Forgotten Friendship took some elements from this comic too, and while I do see some similarities, I don't think it's a complete ripoff. That one had different lessons to teach, a new partnership between Sunset and Trixie, the CMC are not involved, and it does use a magical element. Both the comic and special are not perfect, but I still enjoyed them. In conclusion, I did like the holiday special comic. Would I read this again and again? Not really, but do I think it is a decent read? Yeah, if you are looking for a slice of life adventure with these characters, then I think you'll enjoy it. So the final score I'll give this comic is a 7 out of 10. Flawed, but still solid and a decent read. Okay guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm getting very, very, very close to 500, and I really want to get to that number. Please help me. If I sound desperate, then I'm sorry, but I just really want to get there. Also, if you want to listen/watch a dub of this comic, I'll leave a link to the one made by Wupcake in the description down below. To me, she did a really good job, and she did all the character voices too. It's pretty impressive, check it out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and as always, my name is Sam, and Merry Christmas, you filthy animals, and a Happy New Year.